Greetings, loved ones. Let's take a trip.
It's time for
Amanda Exclusivo.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Amanda Exclusivo. Joining me today is one of the housewives of Orange County. Please welcome Heather Dubrow. Hi Heather.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. As you can see, I'm still in my rental house. Here I am.
Still in the rental house? How long are you there for?
We're moving again in 2 weeks. I have a new rental house. I know, breaking news. It's a much better situation. What we sold our house kind of, it was by accident. It wasn't on the market. It just like happened. And we had to be out very quickly. And so this was literally the only rental available. And it's a total bachelor pad. There's not even a dining table. There's a pool table, swear to you. So we sit at like the little breakfast bar to eat. And so we're moving to a more appropriate family home in a couple of weeks. So I'm kind of excited, even though I'm not excited to move, I'm excited to have a better place for all of us to live. And we have this place, an apartment in LA, and I'm building a new podcast studio.
Yeah. Ooh,
So
no, we'll talk about
it won't be this lovely bed in the background anymore. Forgive me.
No, it's all good. I just want to know when the new house is done and when I can come over and visit.
Anytime.
Yay. No, I wish I knew you back in your New York days. Obviously, you went to Syracuse for performing
With your
arts.
mom.
Yeah. Hi, Mom. And then you graduated, you got your first break on That's Life. So how'd you land that gig?
So actually my first break, I was telling you before we got on, I came out to California working on a show that didn't end up going, but I was like 22 in LA and wasn't really like cut out to be a waitress. So I ended up getting a job at Disneyland singing at the Golden Horseshoe Jamboree.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was my first job out of college. And so divorce court and then singing at the Golden Horseshoe Jamboree. And it was great. And I loved it.
Transition.
Yeah, it was great. So I did that and I met a guy and we put together a 14-piece big band and I toured with them for 4 years. And it was really fun because I just got to sing 4 or 5 nights a week. And we opened for Mel Torme and Manhattan Transfer, Dana Carvey, like a bunch of really fun, cool people. We also like did a bunch of weddings and, corporate events and stuff like that. And then we ended up being the house band for The Nanny, Fran Drescher's show. And so while I was doing that, I was, trying to get an agent.
Yeah.
And so, it's not easy to get an agent. And so you need tape and you need credits, but you can't get tapes and credits without an agent. So it's a total catch-22. But I did start getting like little parts here and there as I'm married with children. I did this, I did that. And then I got my big break was on a show called Life with Roger on the WB that starred Mike O'Malley. And I had a recurring part on that, which led to series regular roles. I was on a show with Jenny McCarthy on NBC called Jenny. I had a show called Stark Raving Mad with Neil Patrick Harris and Tony Shalhoub. Lots of pilots, development deals, all that kind of thing. And then I got cast onto a show called That's Life. And That's Life was about this big Italian family with Paul Sorvino and Ellen Burstyn and Debbie Mazar and Kevin Dillon. And it was a really, really fun show. And so, movies and TV movies and singing and all that kinds of stuff in between.
Well, there you go. And I know you sing and I've heard you have a phenomenal singing voice. How come you never pursued Broadway and continue to sing?
Well, I think after college, that was my intention. But when I got cast onto, I had got these couple of episodes of Divorce Court and they flew me after that out to LA to work on this other show. I thought I'll give LA a try. And even though I sang, like I had the big band and I actually sang the theme song to That's Life and, and different, my first big guest star role was on a show called Baby Talk with Scott Baio. And I played a singer and I sang 2 songs on that show. And so I sang a little here and there, but it just went in a different direction. And I guess I was just doing more acting than singing. And look, I ended up marrying a a doctor who wasn't really transient. So here we stayed in LA. I mean, I don't think it's ever too late. Maybe someday.
Well, who knows? Maybe you could come back to New York and be on Broadway. But
Never
did you pass the singing gene down to Max? I saw her on American Idol. So did you pass it down to all the children or just to her?
Matt, all the children, I don't know if they would totally agree with this, but they're all kind of musical. But Max is incredibly talented. She has a really, really beautiful, interesting tone, natural singing voice, much different than me. Like, I think she's much, much better. She's great. It's funny. I wonder if she'll end up, she recorded a song. She's got to release it. She recorded a song that she wrote with these two guys. That's amazing. And I don't know, but now she's at Tufts.
Oh, okay. So maybe after that she could go back to it. But
I don't know. I just feel like do it all.
Do it all. And as you mentioned earlier, we talked about Terry, your husband. Tell me, how'd you guys meet?
We met on a blind date. If you ask him, he'll say we met on a consult. That's not true.
Okay, let me listen to your side of the story.
Yeah. No, that's his joke. He thinks it's hilarious. But what happened was my friend was dating a transplant surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were hanging out. Actually, we were at a sports bar in Westwood watching the Yankees play. And I said to him, like, don't you know one Jewish doctor? One? Do you have any single friends? And he was like, I don't know. And then a few weeks later, my friend Carrie called me and she was like, well, he's got this friend, blah, blah. I was like, okay. So we went on a blind date, a double date, blind date. And then that was it. I mean,
how'd you feel going into the date? That must be weird, getting set up and then just going.
I thought he was old. Because we're 10 and a half years apart. So at a certain point in the year, we're 11 years apart. So I was 27 and he was 38. So to me, I'm in my 20s and he's almost 40, which seemed old to me.
That's really funny, actually.
So I was like, I don't know, I'm going out with a guy who's almost 40. That feels old. I'm not sure. And then
yeah,
he's just so smart and he's funny. And
you're like, oh,
we both got very lucky.
Oh, that's great. And congratulations on your marriage and everything.
Yeah.
You guys are a really great couple. So tell me, let's transition now to Housewives. So whose idea was it? Was it your idea to go on the show or Terry?
Oh, it was Terry's. Oh, 100%.
Really?
Yeah. Well, so part of the story that I don't always tell is that I'll tell you. No, part of the story was that what happened was I had auditioned for the show years ago. And it was the year that I had 3 kids at the time. And we were living in Orange County. And I was like, oh, bored to tears. Because, I was like a full-time working person and then I had twins and then a third. I mean, it was like all of a sudden, my gosh, I was like the stay-at-home mom with all these kids. And I would do like a pilot every year and, feel like myself again and film a pilot. And then it wouldn't get picked up and I'd go back to my kids. And it was like a hard state of being because I love being with my kids, but I also love working. So what happens is when they cast housewives, they'll call maitre d's of restaurants, managers of high-end boutiques, they call plastic surgeons' offices, and they ask for recommendations. So they had called Terry's office to see if I would be interested. Oh. And so Terry said to me, oh, there's this TV show. And I went, yes, I'll try out. I didn't know what it was. Never seen it. So they came over and we were building, not the house we just sold, but the house before that we built from the ground up. The one, if you remember, it had like double staircases. So we were building that house and it was full construction zone. And so we zhuzhed up like a corner of it to look like a living room so that I could film in there. And I filmed like with the producers and they came over and they did an interview with me. And at the end of the day, they didn't hire me because they said they thought I was too New York to be on the show. And I went, okay, whatever. And so that was the year they hired Alexis Bellino. And truthfully, I think that they were in talks with Alexis Bellino and that maybe they weren't, they thought it might go south. And so they tried to find someone else, which would have been. Anyway, so when I didn't get it, Terry said to me, he's like, oh, thank God. I'm like, why? And he goes, oh, those girls fight and they're mean. And I was like, why would you want me to be on a show like that? Are you out of your mind? I would never do that. cut to, they kept calling every year. Then I got pregnant with my fourth kid or whatever. And then when Ace was, I don't know, 3 or 4 months old, me and my girlfriends pitched a show about opening a restaurant. And we started going around LA and taking all these meetings about opening a restaurant because we thought this would be fun. And so we took meetings with all these different production companies. And one of the production companies was Evolution, who produces Real Housewives. And we left there and they called and said, hey, we like the show, but we really like Heather for Orange County Housewives. And then it sort of became a thing. I said no. Terry said yes. He signed the contract for me. We didn't talk for 2 weeks. And then finally I acquiesced.
Wow. So clearly someone who's to New York went to Orange County.
Apparently they liked a little bit of New York and Orange County eventually.
I mean, you can't go wrong. So tell me, there was one part of Housewives. I'm going to bring up a couple parts, but one of the things I want to talk to you about is the leeches.
The leeches.
Yeah.
Oh!
So is it something that Terry keeps in the office? Is it, what did you do it on the show?
Oh my God, that's so funny. Okay, so in Terry's office,
yeah.
sometimes they don't keep leeches in his office. However,
Okay, good.
no, but there is actually, if you can believe it, a leech lady that will come to a doctor's office and bring leeches, because leeches, when you put them on your skin and they suck on you, they have a property in their saliva that's an anticoagulant, which means it'll keep you bleeding. So if you have dying tissue and they put leeches, it can actually revive the area. So if you have a surgical site where tissue is failing, a lot of times they use leeches, and they've done it on Botched a million times or whatever. Yeah. So Terry and I, we've written 3 books together, and one of them is called Dr. and Mrs. Guinea Pig, where we try out all, health, wellness, and beauty products on ourselves. And he's the scientist and I'm the layperson. And so we did a whole series for E! News as Dr. and Mrs. Guinea Pig. And so one of the things we tried was leech therapy, right?
Yeah.
And so neither of us had ever done it before. He'd used them in his practice, but we hadn't done them before. So we filmed this thing for E! News, and we've got leeches all over us. And afterwards, the lady was like, all right, well, here's some like feminine pads, like maxi pads. They're like, she's like, just put these on the sites for 24 hours. Or like, 24 hours?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I thought it would stop bleeding like after an hour or something. No, this is like a long bleeding process, which is what you want for a surgical site, but not when you have a housewife party to go to that night. So that night was the night of Tamara was throwing a party. It was like a sex bondage party to promote her fitness studio, and like this funny video they had done that seems like a sex tape, but it's not. It was really funny. But anyway,
okay.
She did a sex bondage party. So everyone's dressed up in like leather and this and that. And so we've got literally maxi pads duct taped all over our bodies. And we go to the party, and I didn't feel great either, because I don't know, you get all out or whatever. We get to the party, and I'm talking to Vicky Gumpelson. I'm having this conversation with Vicky, and I talk with my hands, and I'm wildly gesticulating. And all of a sudden, Vicky screams. I had blood drip because I had put my hand near my body and then pulled it up, and there was blood just dripping down my body. And we went into the bathroom, and we were soaked in blood, and it was hilarious. And Vicky was hitting Terry. What are you doing to her? So dumb. And Megan Edmonds gave me her blouse because I was soaked in blood. It was so ridiculous.
Oh my God. That's funny. And I guess it's like kind of embarrassing at the same time for you.
It's embarrassing, hilarious, and like kind of perfect housewife fodder. Like I like when shit like that happens. Yeah. Because it's like kind of gross and ridiculous. It doesn't happen in real life, but I guess it does.
Speaking of embarrassing, what would you say was probably your most embarrassing moment on Housewives?
I mean, that was pretty embarrassing.
That's up there? Or how about most memorable?
Honestly, there's been so many things. I'll tell you that Ace, my youngest, they never showed it, but he actually took his first steps on camera.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we started the show when he was 9 months old. And I remember because he took his steps and we're all there. And I was like frozen, like delighting watching him. And also there were cameras everywhere. So I was like, oh, good, I don't have to pick up a phone. There were cameras everywhere. And they never showed it, and they've never given me the footage.
Are you serious? Still to this day?
To this day.
Come on.
I know. They got to dig that out.
Get Heather that footage,
I
people.
need it.
We all want to see it.
I don't want to see it. But I have to say, like, it is cute because my kids were so young when we started the show. I do like when they do flashbacks to things and you can see like when they're super little, it's sweet.
Yeah. No,
But I have to say, like we did, I loved when Terry and I wrote our first book together, and we did like a big launch party from it last year when my daughter Max, she wrote a book called I'll Give It to You Straightish, which was cool. And I loved, her being able to promote that. The girls' trips are always my favorite because I never went on a girls' trip before joining the show.
Oh, really?
And so, no, that just wasn't my thing. I didn't have a bachelorette party. I don't know. It just wasn't like that. But we always have a lot of fun on the trips, usually.
What was your favorite girls' trip?
I mean, I think I'm just going to go with the first one because it was literally my first trip. And like, I have 4 kids. The youngest is now like 10 months old. And even though it was hard to leave, it was like being given permission to like check out for, 5 days. And we went to Costa Rica, which I'd never been to. And I enjoyed that. I thought Tahiti was a really fun trip. There was a lot of good ones.
Ooh, I wish I could have crashed one of those trips. It sounds pretty fun.
Fun.
So let's transition to, there was one moment that I want to bring up. I know a lot of the women do trivial things on the show, right? And just like me and the fans, I thought that eating the bow off the cake was a really crappy thing to do. I don't know if you had a feeling that I was going there. I don't buy her having a sugar problem. What were your thoughts on the problem?
Well, I mean, it was so ridiculous. And again, that's the kind of housewife fare that I love. I love when you make a mountain out of a molehill. It's the best. I mean, look, sometimes on the show, real things happen, like really deep things happen. I remember when Vicky's mom passed away while we were filming on camera. She got the news. It was devastating. It was horrible. And it was a real life moment when Brooks, faked cancer. It was the most bizarre season ever and fascinating and crazy and all of that. So when those things happen, it's all part of the show and there's so many layers to it. But my favorite part of the show is when dumb things happen and we obsess over them. And so when she broke the bow off the cake,
I had to bring it up.
My friend Dina, who's like, we've been friends for a million years. She was my first friend in LA. And so, and we're still very, very close. She's the one that came over to me and was like, oh my gosh, see that girl over there? She broke the bow off your cake and ate it. And I'm like, stop it. Are you being serious? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh. And this girl and I really like didn't get along anyway, but it was also like, who does that? Can you imagine someone going up to a wedding cake or any cake?
No. I would have them buy me a new freaking cake. I would take them down.
It was so dumb. And I'm so glad she did it because it was so funny. And the memes that have come out of that one scene, I mean, it's just hilarious.
Oh my God. No, that's why I was like, I have to talk to Heather about it to see what she thinks, if she finds it funny or she's still annoyed about it.
Nah, I think it's funny.
So let's talk about something more exciting.
Okay.
Your podcast.
Yeah.
So what made you go from being a housewife to the world of podcasting?
So I was actually on the show still when my agent said, you need a podcast. And I was like, great idea. What is that? This was like 8 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah. And so he set me up with Norm Pattis over at Podcast One. And I went over there and I talked to him for 2 minutes. He's like, yep, you need a podcast. And I was like, okay. But I come from the television world. So I was thinking in segments and content and all this stuff. And then Drew Pinsky, Dr. Drew is a friend of mine, and I called him because, he's a really famous podcaster. And I was like, they want me to do a podcast. And he goes, listen, people just really want to hang out with you for an hour. And I was like, really?
I would.
Oh, and he was like, yeah, he goes, that's really what it's about. Your audience wants to be in your world. And I was like, okay, so 8 years later, it's definitely morphed over the years, but I'm loving, we actually just rebranded it. It's now called Let's Talk with Heather Dubrow. And to me, like, I love the conversations I'm having. I love many, many, many times when I have someone on my show, we end up becoming friends because there's a lot of great shows out there, a million amazing podcasts. There's a lot of, people that talk about pop culture. There's people that talk about, the housewife world and the Bravo sphere and all that. And they're very good. That's not my show. I'm more interested in having conversations about life and health and how we're, how we're growing up, how we're raising our children, how we're helping each other through difficult times in our life. Jennifer Senior, who is a Pulitzer Prize-winning author and also a friend of mine from high school, was on the show last week. And it was interesting because, we could talk as friends and catch up and all of that. And then, talk about this grief, this essay she wrote on grief and what that means and just all of that. So I feel like if I come away with a pearl, just one pearl, I feel like I've learned something, my audience has learned something, and that's just, amazing for me.
So what has been your favorite episode to record for your podcast?
Oh my gosh. After 8 years, there's been so many.
You can say more than one. It's okay.
Yeah, I think Terry's been on quite a bit, and we have a lot of fun when he's on. And when I have close girlfriends come on, it's always good. But all my kids have all been on the show at various times. And I like that too. They're
so
good
it's more
guests.
of a family affair.
It is a family.
So we're just crashing into your family time just for fun.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. And I like when people hear from the kids because, a lot of times, look, as the parent, I have obviously my own, point of view of how things go down. Like Max, Max is 19, Max and Nikki are 19, but Max, I'll say something on my podcast and she'll text me and be like, that is so not how it happened. And I'm like, listen, sister, if you want to, so she's come on my show to rebut things at times. Yeah. And that's okay too. But I'm like, look, this is my opinion. This is my narrative of what happened. You may have your own, and that's okay too. But this is how I feel.
Yeah, no, that's true. But what can we expect from your next podcast episode? What's in the works in the world of Heather?
Well, we just rebranded, which I'm really excited about. And so the kinds of guests that we're having on, I'm very, very excited about. So Tara Schuster was just on, and Jennifer Senior, who I told you, and my friend Jen Curley, who's the snack queen. Do you know her?
No, I don't.
Oh, you got to go follow her on TikTok. She's the snack queen.
And she check her out.
Yeah, she's the coolest thing ever. And I met her at an exercise class, and we became friends. And I didn't know she was the snack queen until my 16-year-old saw me looking at her Instagram. And she's like, the snack queen? I'm like, who's the snack queen? And it was so funny how we came together. And I loved having her on my show. She'll end up coming back soon too. And I don't know, just a lot of fun, cool guests coming on, and more about, I'm going to have my functional medicine doctor on soon because I get a lot of questions about that. And, more to come.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to listen. But before you go, Heather, I was wondering if you could play a game. It's fun. Yes. So it's called the speed rounds. I'm going to ask you as many questions as I can. It's about you. Don't worry, within a minute. Let's just say, I don't know if you watched The Bachelor, but somebody from The Bachelor's name is Mike Johnson. He did pretty well.
Okay.
Got 18 questions within a minute. So
Excellent.
Maybe you can beat him.
All right, let's see.
Okay, let me know when you're ready. And
I'm ready.
Timer. Okay. Heather, the timer is going to start now. What's your favorite cocktail?
Champagne.
Reality TV or sitcom?
Sitcom.
Who is the biggest diva on Housewives?
Oh dear. Andy Cohen.
Leech therapy, yay or nay?
Yay.
Who's your celebrity crush?
Terry Dubrow.
Oh, what was your favorite childhood TV show?
Little House on the Prairie.
Who's your housewife bestie?
Gina.
What's your favorite restaurant?
The Ivy.
Are you a morning person or night owl?
Both.
Ooh, what's the best dish you make?
Latkes. And the
Where
only
is your next trip, Heather?
the desert.
Your favorite clothing designer?
Prada. Right now.
Do you cut the rug or are you a chair dancer?
Cut the rug.
Stilettos or sneakers?
Stiletto. Both.
You got 14. That's still pretty good. But I wanted to ask you the other ones.
Go.
They're pretty fun. So what's your secret talent?
I don't think I have secret talents. I think you know them all, honestly.
Everybody knows them all.
That might be silly, but I can needlepoint.
Okay. What's your guilty pleasure?
Is that weird? I don't have one. I really like eating.
I will join you right there. That is
I like
what I
eating.
enjoy
I
as
think
well.
my guilty pleasure is late night pantry eating.
Ooh, what's in the
Yeah.
pantry? What are we grabbing?
Anything.
Just anything that we look at?
Anything that's carbs. Yes.
I could join you for that.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that too. Are you a shower singer or car singer? Which one do you like better?
Car.
All right. Did you go to your prom?
Yes, lots of them.
And are you an East Coast or West Coast girl?
I mean, in my heart, always East Coast.
All right. Yeah, no, I'm the same way too. But Heather, I'm so happy that we got to chat today. I really do feel like that you and I did hang out today. So it was like a special episode of your podcast, but you're on my show.
I love it. Thank you so much. And so I started a newsletter, which
tell everyone.
Yeah, which I'm so excited about. So if you just go to at Heather Dubrow on Instagram, there's a link, there's a link in my bio to click.
Okay.
And the next one's coming out next week. So it's every other week and it's really fun. And it's just like, because I get DMs a lot about, what restaurant did you like when you went to this place? Or what's your favorite product for this or whatever. So I kind of put it all together in a new fun newsletter so we can share more.
That's awesome. Well, I will put the link down below in the comments and everything. So everybody check it out. Listen to Heather's podcast. And I can't wait to see what you do next. And let me know when the house is all done and I'm taking the plane out to LA. I'm coming over for the house party.
I love it.